Update. Would I be the a-hole if I disowned my parents after my mom refused to take care of me after I give birth? Original post. I, 28 female, am 30 weeks pregnant with my first child, and I'm about to move to another state. My mom has a tradition of taking care of my siblings when they give birth until they recover. She did it for my older sister and my brother's wife, so I assumed she would do the same for me. However, a week ago, she told me she couldn't because it was too far away. We got into a fight about it, and I told her to leave my house. Now we're not talking. Before you judge me and say my mom isn't obligated to take care of me, I want to clarify that this isn't about needing my mom's help. It was never about that. I've always been the one child in a family that nobody really cares about. My parents claim they love and treat us all equally, but it's painfully obvious that they love me a little less than the others. I used to wonder if I was adopted, but nope, 100% theirs. It's always about my siblings, how they're doing, how my mom and dad are struggling, but it's never about me. It was never about me from the beginning. My birthdays were rarely celebrated because my parents either forgot or just threw something together at the last minute and called it a party. My high school graduation? No celebration because my parents had already spent too much money on my older brother's college graduation party. They promised to make it up to me. Spoiler alert, they never did. My parents contributed to my siblings' wedding expenses, but when it came to mine, they said, "Since your husband comes from a good family, we don't have to contribute." Their words, not mine. I've always been the one expected to listen to mom and dad vent about their problems. I had to help my mom because my older siblings had too much schoolwork, and my younger siblings were too young to do chores. They always told me I was a good daughter, but I was never the one they bragged about to their friends. No matter how hard I tried to make them proud, my achievements were always overshadowed by my siblings. I have tried multiple times to talk to them about how I feel, but the only response I ever got was a scolding about how I was being spoiled. I hated my life until I finally moved out, but I never had the courage to cut ties, hoping they would change. Well, my mom just proved me wrong. Mind you, my older sister lives an entire ocean away, but my mom had no problem taking a 10-plus-hour flight twice to be with her. Yet somehow, a 4-hour drive to my home is too much? Especially when I'm in a place where I don't know anyone except my husband. I am so freaking tired of them putting everyone else above me. So, I'll make things right between us before I leave, because I don't want to end things on a bad note. But once I move into my new home, I will cut all contact. I don't have the energy for this anymore. Besides, I have my loving husband, and together we will build a new family, one where I am truly appreciated and loved for who I am. Note, I am the third of 5 children. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Tell her you can't keep in touch. It is too far away. She has been overlooked and undervalued her entire life by her parents. Her feelings are completely valid. This isn't just about her mom not visiting after birth. It's about years of unequal treatment and neglect. I think she suffers from dependable child syndrome. Parents always think they can neglect the kids who seem fine and focus on the others. As someone who has been in a similar position, my parents sometimes forget I have feelings. Luckily, it's never been this bad, not even 10% this bad. You don't even have to cut contact or block her. Just quietly quit. Don't initiate contact. Gray rock her when she calls or texts. Don't share photos of the baby, saying you don't want them posted online. This way, she can't act like a proud grandma when she hasn't even met the baby. If anyone asks why you're shutting mom out, just act surprised and say, "What? I'm just busy, taking care of a newborn with no help." She knows my number and address. She's free to call, but I don't have time to listen to her complain about her life. Because, I have an infant to care for. She'll either make an effort to prove how little she really cares. Now for the update. A lot has happened since my last post. I tried calling my parents, but they had blocked me, so I couldn't reach them. Still, I was determined to get the closure that the younger version of me had always wanted. So I called my older brother and asked if we could meet up to talk about the situation. He immediately refused, saying he wouldn't meet with me after what I had done to our mother. He then berated me. calling me ungrateful and saying that mom was under a lot of stress and pain because of me. I told him it wasn't fair for him to assume I was the villain, especially since he had never experienced my point of view. I reminded him that they never treated him the way they treated me my whole life. He knew they treated me like their personal chef, maid, and therapist for years. Yet they couldn't even give me the love and attention I longed for, not even once in my entire life. But he just screamed at me over the phone, calling me a piece of trash for saying that. He insisted that mom and dad treated us all equally and that I was just a narcissist who only thought about herself. I tried to speak, but my emotions got the better of me and I broke down crying. He hung up on me. After that, I started questioning myself. Was I really the narcissist my family made me out to be? My husband was my rock through it all. He helped me process everything, though the doubt still lingered in my mind. I guess my brother told my parents I had called him, because 2 days later, Dad called me. His voice was filled with remorse, and he asked me to meet at their house. I was hesitant, but I thought maybe, just maybe, we could work things out, and I could drop the idea of cutting contact, even if mom didn't want to help out. After 3 days of talking to my dad, my husband and I went to their house to meet with them. I thought it would just be the four of us, my husband, my parents, and me. But they invited my brother and his wife too. As soon as we sat down, my dad started talking about how disappointed he was in me and how things shouldn't have escalated like this. I agreed, saying he was right. It shouldn't have come to this. But I told him I had assumed, since mom had helped take care of my sister and my brother's wife, that she would do the same for me. Instead, she chose to favor everyone else above me, and it was frustrating. I laid everything out. I told them how I had felt for years, how I had been treated, and how much pain they caused me. But none of them cared. They just sat there like my words meant nothing. And that was the moment I realized I didn't mean anything to them. So why was I still fighting to be part of a family that didn't even want me? My husband was about to speak, but I stopped him. I didn't want him wasting his breath. Everyone took turns blaming me, giving their opinions on why I was wrong. Then Dad asked if I had anything to say to Mom. I simply told her I was sorry. Not because I had done anything wrong, but because I didn't want to carry bad blood between us before I closed this chapter of my life and moved on. She didn't say anything back. Then Dad said we all needed some time to cool off and set some boundaries. And I guess that was it. That was goodbye. Over the next 2 weeks, we packed up and left the state. I didn't tell anyone where we were moving. Once we were settled in our new home, I wrote a long message explaining everything, how they had treated me, how I felt, and how much it had hurt me. At the end of the message, I told them I was completely cutting contact with my parents and older brother. Then, I changed my phone number and blocked all of them on social media. And you know what? My life has never been this peaceful. For the first time in a long time, I'm happy. My baby will be arriving any day now. And while it's stressful, I love this new chapter of my life. We even hired a house helper, because why not? My days now consist of sleeping, taking walks, eating some more, having back and hip pain, and repeating. And honestly, it's not that bad. Sounds like you finally chose peace over drama. Wishing you all the happiness with your little one. Yep, sometimes family is just a title. You don't owe them anything if they don't treat you with love and respect. Blood doesn't mean loyalty. You gave them every chance, and they showed you exactly who they are. Now you get to build a family that actually deserves you. Wishing you nothing but peace and joy with your little one. You did right by cutting contact. It's good for you and your newborn to be healthy and away from dramatic people. The more you stay away from them, the more you will have your peace of mind. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my sister's wedding after she made me the butt of a family joke? I, 25 female, have always been the responsible one in my family. I helped raise my younger siblings, worked 2 jobs during college, and even financially supported my parents when they hit a rough patch. My older sister, Rachel, 30 female, has always been the family favorite. She's outgoing, funny, and everyone gravitates towards her. She got married last weekend, and that's when everything hit the fan. For context, Rachel has always had this playful habit of roasting me at family gatherings. It started with harmless jabs, like calling me Mom Jr. because I'd remind everyone to take their meds or clean up after themselves. I laughed it off for years, but at some point, it turned mean-spirited. She started calling me Miss Buzzkill, saying I didn't know how to let loose because I preferred reading at home over clubbing. Flash forward to the wedding, Rachel asked me to give a toast as her maid of honor. I thought it was a huge honor, so I worked hard on a heartfelt speech about her finding love and the bond we share as sisters. But when it was Rachel's turn to speak, she gave this whole jokey speech about the woman I've always looked up to, as a reminder of what not to be. She then went on to jokingly compare me to a 1950s sitcom mom who probably schedules fun time. Everyone laughed, but I felt humiliated in front of 200 guests. Even my parents were cracking up. I wanted to keep it together, but after the speeches ended, I quietly excused myself to the bathroom to cry. When I got back, the jokes hadn't stopped. People at my table were still making comments about me being a buzzkill while pouring drinks. I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my purse and left. Since the wedding, Rachel has been blowing up my phone, calling me dramatic and saying I ruined her big day by storming off. My parents were siding with her, saying it was just a joke and that I need to loosen up. I told them I'm done being the family punchline, and now everyone's calling me selfish for making the wedding about me. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Time to go no contact with your family and see how it goes. Absolutely. It's a little rich that parents who took financial and material help from their college-age daughter were laughing at her being called a buzzkill. You were doing all those things to plug the holes they couldn't. It's great that you helped, but you can just stop. Let them figure it out. Go buy books, travel, and do things that bring you joy. Let them keep their life of the party and their jokes. You'll be all the better for it. They have definitely shown you they don't respect or value you. Put yourself first now and prioritize your needs. You will be fine. Not the a-hole in any way. His sister's speech was hurtful and unnecessary. Leaving was a way to set boundaries, so she shouldn't feel guilty for that. Not the a-hole. When someone disrespects you as a person, you remove yourself from their presence. You know, this wasn't just poking a little fun. This was downright making you the butt of an ongoing joke. The fact that she would make her speech about you instead of the life in front of her with her new husband is despicable. She can find someone else to humiliate for her jollies from here on out. Last story. Am I the a-hole if I cut off my father if he stays with his girlfriend after she assaulted me? My father and I have always had a pretty good relationship. But to be honest, it has been strained since I had my first child about 9 months ago, as I haven't felt he's been very kind or supportive toward me. My husband, baby, and I recently visited him. He lives in a vacation spot, so we go every winter. His girlfriend, whom he's been with for a few years, moved in with him last year. She and I have always gotten along well, and I really loved her. I was even prepared to allow my son to call her grandma and encouraged my dad to propose when he told me he was considering marriage. To my surprise, only 3 days into our visit, his girlfriend came home from work and completely lost it at me, right in front of my dad. She started screaming at me, accusing me of ridiculous things and saying horrible, mean things. I'll spare you the details, but essentially, she is an almost 60-year-old woman who has never married or had children, even though she always wanted to. It seemed like she was angry that I have a child, and she never did, and she used me as a punching bag as a result. I felt like I was back on a school playground being bullied by the mean girl. Eventually, she got so angry that she came an inch from my face, screaming insults at me and waving her long fingernails near my face. This is when my dad finally stepped in. He had to literally grab her arms and hold her back to prevent her from attacking me. But she kept breaking free and coming after me, screaming and chasing me around the apartment. At one point, she aggressively ran toward the room where my baby was sleeping, screaming her head off and tried to open the door to wake him up. My dad grabbed her at the last second and stopped her, but when she tried to go into my baby's room like that, I knew there was no coming back from this. I knew at that moment I could never be near her again. She also put her hands on me aggressively after I told her not to touch me. Throughout the entire altercation, I did not scream back or lay a hand on her. I tried my best to calmly defend myself. And my dad, who witnessed everything, agrees that I handled the situation as well as anyone could have. He admitted that her behavior was completely out of line, aggressive, and scary. Since the incident, I have not seen her, and I made it very clear to my dad that I will never go near this woman again, nor can I allow her anywhere near my child. When she ran toward my baby's room, it was one of the scariest moments of my life. I genuinely feared she might try to hurt him. I even considered calling the police and filing assault charges against her, but I ultimately decided against it because I generally try to avoid dealing with the police. The problem I'm having with my father is that, despite everything, he has told me that he loves this woman and does not want to break up with her, even though he witnessed the entire event and agrees that her behavior was unbelievably horrible, aggressive, and terrifying. As a mother myself, I cannot understand why he would want to stay with someone who assaulted his child. If someone ever did that to my son, I would leave them immediately and never see or speak to them again. I am so disappointed in my father for choosing to stay with her after what she did. The entire thing was traumatizing for me. It's been weeks, and I still haven't fully recovered. I told my dad that if he chooses to stay with her, I will have no choice but to cut him off, meaning he will also lose access to my son, his only grandchild. He says it's unfair for me to make him choose between us. To that, I told him that she is the one forcing him to choose because she's the one who attacked me. So, am I the a-hole if I cut my dad off for staying with his woman? The fact that you even have to ask if you're the a-hole is wild. She assaulted you, tried to get into your baby's room, and your dad still wants to play house with her? Nah, protect your peace and your kid. The reason I ask is because I was also abused by my mom my entire life and constantly feel gaslit by people. So I never know if what I'm doing is actually reasonable or not. My dad has been really trying to minimize what happened, and it's clear he's trying to gaslight me too, which is making me confused. I needed other people's opinions for clarity. Sounds like your dad is used to enabling the romantic partners in his life. I said the same thing to him. Not the a-hole. Honestly, I'd still file a report. That way, you've started a paper trail. God forbid, but what if she shows up at your home or does something to your dad? At least there will be a record of her assaulting you. You know what? You're right. After reading your comment, I called the police department and I'm waiting for an officer to call me back so I can file the report.